Hello, ladies. Okay. Tonight we gather, our village is gathered. I want to talk about some important things that I feel are going on in the world and just get everyone's opinions, channels, downloads, because I feel, and you guys can talk as a conversation. I'm not trying to lead this as like a circle. This is a conversation where we chime in and we talk about what we have. So I'm sure I'm not the only one who noticed, but I feel the energy once August hit really seemed to ramp up. Like something feels urgent. I want to say reality feels almost more in the now. Like I would feel like we would say we're in the game, like it's time to play. So I feel like this is right. You can feel that.
I agree.
I want to know if anybody's getting a download about this topic in particular about the energy being ramped up or something that was presented to you. Let me know. So
the only thing I have is that August 11th is the hearing for Assange, and there is expected to be all kinds of distractions, false flags, everything, because they are expecting him to be released.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's big. That's
what's funny is you said August 11th, and I have that date specifically written down for a different reason. So everyone knows what the Lion's Gate is, or at least has heard of it, whether you know exactly what it is or not. Is everyone familiar with the Lion's Gate? Okay.
Tell me.
So the Lion's Gate is an astrological alignment that occurs every year. And it has big significance. If you think about, there's actually a Hollywood production company called Lionsgate.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, right? So they know this energy. Yes, Hollywood knows what this is. Leo is opposite of Aquarius, which means they're opposite, right? So Aquarius represents, Allie, the Aquarian. Aquarius represents the outsiders, the misfits, but also the people. It's a collective. And then you have Leo, which represents loyal. I almost said loyalty. They are loyal, but royalty. It's the king of the jungle, right? So royalty. Leo is the king and queen energy of the zodiac. So they are opposite each other. The people versus the royalty. Monarchy, let's say, right? And so they love to use the Lion's Gate. Now, I'm not saying there's anything in particularly wrong with it, but I will tell you this, it's misaligned. Are you surprised? Probably not. So on the 8-8 gateway, which is the numerology they use, they say that the sun is in Leo, and it's not. This year, that's a new moon, so it's an extra energy portal. It doesn't always become a new moon on 8-8. So this year, it's a lunar gateway. They're channeling energy from Leo. Everybody's assuming it's Leo. They're calling it the Lion's Gate, but the sun and the moon are actually in 17 degrees Cancer on 8-8. So it's not in the Lion's Gate yet. The official date of the Lion's Gate is, in my opinion, I can just go as far as my research, the real Lion's Gate is 8/11. 8/11, wow. Though it's not though it's not a divine 8/8, it's when that's the first day of the sunrise where the sun is positioned in Leo, 0 degrees Leo, according to actual astronomical placements. So Sirius will be rising as it has been doing. We are in this window of energy of Sirius rising before the sun, but that's the actual first day that it rises.
You said on 8/11.
Yeah,
that's when the sun aligns with Sirius that day.
They're not aligned in where they're coming up together. Sirius will be rising right before the sun. It'll be the first bright thing rising before the sun. So Sirius will be coming up over the eastern horizon at 3:30 a.m. It has been, but the day that the sun is in Leo and Sirius first rising over the dawn while the sun is in Leo is 8:11, not 8:08, not even 8:10. 8:10 midday, the sun moves into Leo, but Sirius already rose. So the first day that it rises is 8:11. I have 8:11 written down because the Lion's Gate is when Sirius is rising up over the horizon while the sun is supposed to be in Leo, but the sun isn't in Leo until 8:11. So you were saying 8:11, and that's a very potent day in particular. And they have all of our energy being directed towards 8:8, which is still a new moon. It's still an energetic portal, but it is not a Lion's Gate if the sun and moon are in the crab. So you were talking about that being an
I have
important
two
date.
things to
Yeah.
add. Gate energy, / Leo, and royalty is associated with gold. And I made the connection that August begins with AU, and
Yeah.
AU is like the elemental symbolism for. And another thing, going back to what Mom said, on 8/11, you said Julian Assange hearing. And it's interesting because I've been seeing a lot of things related to like Julius Caesar. And that was like the whole July energy coming
Well,
through.
August is actually related to the Julian calendar. It was created for the Julian calendar. Another person, I don't know if he was related to Julius Caesar
Augustus.
or if he, there you go.
Augustus Caesar.
Yes.
The
That
Roman
they
Empire.
they shortened February to give those days and they changed their names. So yes.
Right. So July, August is like Julius Caesar codes.
Yeah.
And there's
And-
also something about we're supposed to come away from that calendar.
Yes, because it's
Mhm.
I actually have it somewhere here. I have the
Yeah, we're
lunar
going into
calendar.
another calendar.
Yeah.
We're coming from that one.
I was just gonna say too that Angel, didn't you mention to me the other day that this is going to be the 50th anniversary of we're coming off the gold standard, and it's August something. It's August 15th, maybe.
Yes.
I didn't get an exact date, but yeah, we came off in the 1970 or around that time.
Yeah, this will be the 50th.
Yeah, we're coming.
Nixon
Right.
did it. So when he was president.
50th Annie removal gold standard. I'm taking notes here because
I
We have
personally
reference
didn't know at
codes.
that time that we weren't allowed to own gold. I didn't even know that.
so before that, your American families had like gold in their
gold.
houses and stuff, and I guess they
Yes.
almost did like a recall with like what they're trying to do with guns.
Yes.
Take
Yes.
your wealth, take your armor.
Mhm.
Yeah. They had people turn it in.
Write it in for these notes that mean nothing. It's great. It's full on monopoly. On top of that flow where we're going, one thing we know about this imminent collapse and this energy that they're channeling is they're going to drop our currency, right? So we're coming up on a 50th anniversary of removing the gold standard. There's going to be some form of a consequence. And with the energy ramping up so intensely for August, this is just my feeling. I feel that there's going to be massive disruption in September with the financial markets. Is anyone getting that type of download?
September's going to be big.
Right?
Yes.
Allie, what are you
Huge
getting with
things are going to
September?
happen in September.
Oh, September is going to be, I think this is our turning point, because not only August being the whole entire, the changing with the calendar, the gold, it's supposed to be about money this month and abundance. So if we're going into this month with this, because the 11th of August is also a 6th day. 6th day is to pay close attention of what's happening on the outside of the external world, because the material matters, including your career, your finances, your fitness, and your achievements, are what's going to be at focus. And there's also going to be an outwardly focus that's going to be detrimental to the spiritual life on that day.
This is the 11th you're talking about, August
Yes.
11th. And you were
August
just
11th.
talking about the false flag distractions. So that's interesting that the numerology lines up to be that they're going to be purposely distracting you in your outside world so that you're not tuning into the inside world. So we should definitely take note of 8/11, watch for distractions.
There's going to
So
be
you
a
don't
lot.
have to watch for them. They're going to be huge distractions.
Yeah.
Well, right now there's a ton of them going on, especially with they're going after the children again.
Yep.
They're definite, because I even got all of my school stuff sent to me saying that masking, 6 feet, social distancing, and the jab are going to be recommended,
You
Now-
said recommended, you didn't say mandated.
mandated,
Oh, mandated.
mandated.
That's different than recommended.
Mhm,
Well,
mhm, yeah.
recommending, not recommending, they're saying in that what would you do if? And I responded, take my son out. And I said, it's only going to be virtual. And they came back at me saying, well, there's no longer virtual. Murphy signed the order. Now on June, I think it was June 6th. Do you remember, Steph, when I did that protest in Trenton?
I don't remember the actual day,
June.
no. I know
I
it was
think it was
June, but I don't
June.
remember the day.
So June, we were at Trenton because 2 bills that Murphy wanted to pass got passed, and the 2 that we wanted passed got denied. And it was unmasking, opening the businesses, taking the mask and the jab out of schools, our body, our choice. And then Murphy's 2 were to override any and all legislation that he had say. And the other one was the emergency executive orders, that he can go above everybody as far as New Jersey law. So even
That's
if,
the only keep us in a state of emergency.
yeah, so now he already did it, he got it in, and then he set up the state of emergency already, that we are overloaded with Delta variant. Well, we're getting Brazilian and Colombian as well, and it's trickling up from Florida magically, along with Bill Gates's little mosquitoes. But, you know, so you could see that the chess pieces, that they're all moving.
Yeah, they're
And-
moving very quickly.
Now
They're
they are.
pushing all this because they know they have an end game coming for when the fall occurs. So when the fall happens, it's flu season. I mean, it's coming. People get sick every year. But after the PSYOP that they pulled in 2020, people no longer look at sickness like, oh, it's a cold, it'll be fine. Everything is detrimental. Everything is crisis mode. So they're
Mhm.
planning on upping this regular behavior, this regular purging, seasonal purging that does happen. I mean, yes, the flu kills people every year, and yet somehow last year, where'd that go? So we know what's happening. They're messing with people's minds. They're preparing and they're putting the legislation through now while people aren't thinking about it.
Somebody mentioned the chessboard. So the chessboard, so the war has been won, right? The war against, we can call it whatever we want to call it. Evil, unnatural darkness, goo, antichrist. It's all referring to the same thing. So the war has been won on all levels like this. But what I heard was that this negative frequency, well, for the sake of the conversation, we can call it evil. It's still very much everywhere where we are. So even though the war is won, the goo is still here.
Yeah.
So, and the reason, and there's 2 types of, see, they've corrupted the word reset. So there was a good reset from restart from the good side, but then the dark also has their reset, which they're twisting and manipulating into a bad way. So there is some type of reset. And the reason why they have to do that is because there's so much goo and frequency here, negative frequency, that it's hard for us to gain an upper hand and come out of, if you want to call it the chessboard, if you want to call it the arena, you called it a game in the beginning of the conversation, right? So, so I don't know why I just brought this up. Why did I bring this up? I brought this up to say that it ties everything that we're talking about together. So because this frequency is here, the fear mongering is going to continue. And so that frequency of fear is just going to, there's just going to be, just like how, okay, how do I put this? So from what I've gotten is that the things that are happening here are divinely sanctioned. So that means that things are happening and they're kind of waiting and seeing to interfere. And so a lot of the programs that are here are meant to trigger people awake.
Absolutely.
But some of them, but there's a lot of different things in play, right? So there's good things in play, but then there's dark things in play. And so I think everything that we're talking about now is the things that are on the unnatural dark things that are in play.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. You know, always happens spiritually first, like you mentioned, above, as above, so
Yeah.
below. So because we win in the end, because time is all happening now, of course we win. The light has to win. All there is light. But we're making our way through this physical plane. Like a couple downloads ago that me and you were going back and forth with Marissa with the earth symbol, the crucifix symbol and earth.
Yep.
And so we were talking about how time is the download I always get, and the phrase I always get is a happening. It's
Yes.
not just happening, it is a happening. It's how they describe it to me. It just is, and it's just happening at all. So when we're in the physical, when we're in the present, we can only perceive horizontally, which we call linear timeline. So we can count past, present, future, because we're only in the now. But in reality, that vertical line is how past, present, and future are occurring all at the same time, where they're literally on top of each other at different frequency levels. And we can only perceive what we're plugged into the now, right?
Yeah.
So in the now that we're in now, the one that we're experiencing as a collective right now, while we speak, is the dark appears to have the upper hand. Though we know this is a falsity, we only win in the end because we all do our part in the now. You get it? Because time's happening now. So we feel like we're activating, and other people are waking up every day. And so we know at the end of the day, everybody's awake. But it's happening now within us. And that's why I feel like that sense of urgency coming about now is that there's an activation coming. And I think that, you know, we've been activated at different periods at different times. And the one I'm feeling now is action time, or it's now time for the second wave or the third wave, or whichever wave it is now, to start coming online and doing and saying and spreading, because we have the codes for the now to build the future. And I also think that it's interesting that you brought all that up, Maris, because I was just about to go into the fact that there is a zoomed in point of view and a zoomed out point of view on the realities.
Yep.
And so
Totally
when
agree
you,
with that.
right? So I feel like the zoomed out, that big collective, looks chaotic. So when you zoom all the way into yourself is where the solutions exist. But we have to acknowledge the bigger picture, and we have to take action in the smallest picture. So in the zoomed out perspective, I just wrote down a couple key things that like I've noticed. So zoomed out view, there is an awareness, or we need to bring that forward, the awareness that there is a spiritual warfare occurring, just like you were saying, Maris, where it's already won, but in our present understanding of it, it's still warfare, because everywhere we look, the dark is still a present existence, and we're fighting back right now. So we're in the presence of the warfare, even though of course we win in the end. The end, there's no end, but you know what I mean. The other thing on the zoomed out point of view that people need to realize is that this reality is a lie.
Yes.
Marissa, you have so many downloads of that. We can go into that too, but just briefly, reality is a lie. So we've been taught to be misled by our outer world.
Everything is a lie. That's
exactly.
That's the narrative. Everything is a lie.
It's upside down and backwards is what I like to say, because it's also inside out, I think. So there's so many ways it's messed up.
They like to joke, everything doesn't mean some of the things.
It
Everything
means
means
everything.
every single thing.
It means 100%, okay? So then
Oh, sports. You have a way with words.
you're so good at this. So that's the zoomed out, right? So the zoomed out can be a little scary. It's a broader picture. Everything's connected. It looks overwhelming. You realize that all these corporations, all these things, everybody's hand in hand. And it's what we call the artificial matrix, the dark. But when you zoom all the way into your personal life, to the being that you're here, the one that you have control over, though everything seems so mundane about this part of it, because it's not some grand scale. But this is where the solutions exist. So when we're looking out and we're getting overwhelmed, that's why they tell you to ground back in, because we can literally zoom out and look down at the world, because we're not really fully here. We are of both realms. So when we come into the now and we're here and our awareness is physical and we're zoomed all the way in, the messages that I get is suit up, armor up the vessel, mind, body, spirit. we have to detach from the matrix. We have to be okay with when they start trying to put the regulations on, because to your point, Maris, it's crisis that wakes people up, right? So we know that we have to go through these necessary scares. We
And near
know that
death.
it's exactly because
Sister would always say.
that's how you remember the all, right? Because that's
Yep.
when you realize there is no death. That's when you realize the purpose. So taking the best care of the self, and then the area around you then, because like if you can look at your home as an extension of the self, so that means, you know, your gardens and everything like that, what in around you in your area can you soup up and make it the best version so that it is then in alignment with the higher vibrations that we know that we're trying to get to. And it's just one of the ladies that I listened to, I think I've shared her with everyone at this point, Veronica, Lady V, Higher Realm Holistics. She talks about that there's a threshing floor right now, and we're hitting the threshing floor, and it's meant to scare the crap out of people. Some people are meant to let go and fall, but whatever it is, it's divinely sanctioned. It, you know, freedom of choice. Either you ascend while it's shaking and you jump to the pieces you need to, or you fall and struggle. Or some people, I mean, let's be honest, death is a reality. Some people are not going to make it through the threshing floor, whether they take their own lives from the collapse, or it's, you know, getting themselves sick because of all the stuff putting in the bodies and the over cleaning, the overhype, you know, because we're germs, you know, constantly washing your hands is fine, but all that other stuff, we're weakening ourselves. So there's so many ways people can fall off and exit. There's a lot of exit points. So we're at a choice point, and with that inevitably comes exit points, because you don't have to live. You're allowed to choose in any moment, whether people like to acknowledge that reality or not. It's a true thing. So I think that energy of everything ramping up right now feels really intensely, because we're downloading in, we're in the game now. Life and death, whether people realize it or not, is becoming realer and realer every day. And as we enter that fall, we're going to come face to face with that type of energy, where some people just will not acknowledge the death, and they're terrified of it. And so they're going to flee and go to the saviors that appear to be saviors. And, you know, others will decide to become the best version of ourselves in the name of crisis. How, you know, well, what can I do to not need this falling system? What can I do to not trust these people who are clearly lying to me, right? Seeing through the deception, taking your power back from them. As soon as you see like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, you realize, oh, I don't trust this man. This is just a regular stupid little man. I gave him all that power, you know? So taking our power back, taking our everything back and giving it to ourselves, it's really how we start to build that sovereignty energy, where we leave the idea of someone telling you what to do, an authoritarian, a government, and we step into what can we do to empower ourselves now.
You know, with lately what's been going on too, this particular Lionsgate seems to be also the integration point of who is going to transcend and who is going to stay. I don't know, Marissa, if you've been getting this as well, but I've been seeing where the people are trying to check in, find people, search for things. And what's happening is, like you said, with the timelines of the Earth symbol, we've got everything right now is absolutely connected. Say like Yigasil, the tree of life, we've got everything right now going on at the same time connected.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers doing their evilness right now. Well, they're doing it back in 1920.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing it back in merry old England, you know.
Oh, you're right.
So they're
The
doing
100-year cycle.
And what they're finding right now is that they have probably all these written records handed down. I mean, you know, they've got the stuff that they're going back going, gee, these people screwed us up doing that. And they got the one up on us. We got to up it this way.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got this playbook. And at the same time, all of us are scrambling and we don't know why. And what I've been realizing is because everybody goes, you know, I just feel like I had a past life that was so similar. Oh, I need this. And I'm integrating people lately where we're connecting those dots of, hey, I was there when the Romans were there. Hey, those were kind of like those Rockefellers. And
The
and
great
so
remembering.
we are remembering and reliving everything in the same timelines, connecting. So the weavers, we've been trying to connect everybody so we can actually pull them in. So the people who are connecting and are integrating, not healing, but integrating themselves, whether it's through their ancestry, healing the wounds of the bloodline, or they're integrating their soul's timeline, but they're the ones who are light and you can see it. And they're going to be the ones who are going with us as the light workers, as the next builders and creators.
Absolutely. There is this, everyone talks about, that's why I mentioned like the great remembering is that we're collecting the selves. So I got this download on the day out of time. The day out of time is recognized in the lunar calendar, Mom. You know how you just mentioned how we're going to leave the Gregorian calendar? The lunar calendar does the 28-day cycle instead of 31 to 30 or whatever with February. Everything's 28 days. And that leaves one day out of the loop. And the day that they pick for that is July 25th is the day out of time. It's like a free day. It's considered a feminine day because it's a passive energy. It's not considered an active working energy. So it's not a masculine day. It's a day to tune into the feminine energy. But I actually got to download that day about time and what we were talking about. So in this download, Marissa, I wrote that circle earth symbol. So I'm going to skip that part because I already went through that. But the codes I personally received about this was our highest selves are our future self timelines. They're on the vertical.
We've gotten that before.
Yes, they're on the vertical part. They're not here with us. This is the one. And each time we go up, there's another linear because you'll move the cross up. So our highest selves is the future timeline, as they are perceived future because they vibrate at a higher frequency. We can communicate with our higher selves due to their higher vibration. Therefore, they're not limited by the construct of how we perceive time, where we think physical here and now, higher vibrational. We know that we can transcend anything. So that's why our highest selves can communicate to us and we can hear that channel. So due to their higher vibration, as they are less dense and begin to transcend our density, aka our time. So I'm also considering time to be a density. So I don't know if physics or any type of math recognizes that or already came to this conclusion, but I feel like time is definitely something to do with the density. Our past and present are all happening at once, as we are fractalized across the multiple densities / multiple dimensions. So again, dimension, density, time, I feel like it's all the same thing. Is anyone familiar with the double slit experiment in physics?
Ooh, that's familiar.
So you guys have probably heard of it before, and I'll just refresh your memory. So basically they take this, I think it's electrons in particular, which are the electric ones. So they shoot them through a slit and it comes out as particle dots. And then they introduce double slit. And when no one's watching, it comes out, instead of as two dots, it comes out in a wave pattern, which makes no sense. How is it coming out in a wave? The second you put an observer, somebody watching it being done, whether it's a camera, a person, whatever, they come out in the two slit dots as if it's particles. So the electrons change their reality based on the observer presence, aka the someone in the now creates physicality. If you remove someone in the now, electrons become hypothetical. They can be anywhere, therefore they create a wave, right? So to me, it's your that's how we're across all dimensions, is when we're the wave, and when we're physically present, we're the particle, the physical manifestation of a reality, right? So the double slit experiment proves that the being or observer having observed creates the present experience to move more densely and linearly, like a particle of matter. Once the observer / density / time is removed, the particle becomes a theoretical wave moving through all dimensions. So our awareness itself is what manifests into the physical reality. once we remove the awareness, this is why once we meditate, we go through any possible timeline, past, present, future, but they're all now. It's just what density are you at? And I think that's why when they talk about some people are already living in higher dimensional frequencies, is you can experience certain ones in physicality here, right? Some eventually you go so high up in dimensional frequency that it can't manifest quite physically. It will be a wave, it'll be a light, right? When you get really high. But at some dimensions, it just gets lighter, but it's still a physical reality. So when people talk about 3D, 4D, 5D, we're moving up the scale in density, but it's still a physical reality. We're not just going to be the beams of energy yet. So as we move through this scale, which is why doing the certain things, right, the zoomed out point of view, taking care of the self and working towards a lighter density, you start to align with that. And that's what I believe the bifurcation is going to be.
Mhm.
The splitting of the realms is that some of us are going to lighten our density enough to literally, because we're at this 100-year point, and there's always a reset. We don't know where some people go because it's a reset. We don't remember history. I believe they will actually part, hence the heightened polarization. I don't know when this is going to happen. I don't have a date. I'm sure if I study astrology a little further, there's a 100-year cycle going on with that in astrology that I can probably track. Yeah.
I wanted to mention, Allie
love that
had
you
said
raised your
about the
hand.
your cycle. So there's this book that I ran into called The Fourth Turning,
Oh,
and it pretty much breaks down these 4 cycles that happen every 100 years. So they're called like a high happens, an awakening happens, an unraveling, and then a crisis. All right. So here it says, in the 1760s were followed by the American Revolution, the 1850s by the Civil War, the 1920s by the Great Depression and World War II.
can you repeat
So
that? I want to
every
write that down.
100 years. Sure. So the 1760s were followed by the American Revolution, the 1850s Civil War, 1920s by the Great Depression and World War II. And it also mentions in this book quite often, winter is coming, which they've been preparing us for a while,
Game of
even with Game of
Thrones.
Thrones. They have us chanting, winter is coming, winter is coming. They're preparing, I believe, this year, the dark winter. Pain, like they want pain to come this year. It is coming, it's inevitable, as we see here
Yeah,
every 100
chaos
years
is
or so.
coming.
Yeah.
It's just a level
Yep.
of what you
In this
allow
book,
yourself
it
to
says-
suffer.
This book was
Yeah.
written in 1997, so I'm sure the dates are a little skewed, but it says sometime before the year 2025, America will pass through a great gate in history, commensurate with the American Revolution, Civil War, and twin emergencies of the Great Depression and World War II. So it's saying sometime around now to 2025, we'll be expecting something of that magnitude.
I believe some of that already happened. The
We are
psyop is a
going-
war.
We're going for the crash soon. So
Yeah.
the stock market is going to crash. All the financial guys are telling me that
Mhm.
it's happening.
It's imminent.
Exactly.
Yes, it's definitely coming. If it's okay, Allie, I wanted to address what you said earlier, because it's funny because we've been getting messages too about integrating, and that and actually it ties back to what you said as well, Steph, about how we are all multidimensional selves, and the crucifix has a lot of symbolism in it, but the fact that they nailed the Christ consciousness right in the middle, that's where they kind of extrapolated us and kept us in this enslaved linear state. But in natural state, we have access to all of our multidimensional selves.
Absolutely.
And we could jump, we're all the way down here, we're all the way up there, we're this way, we're that way. So we are supposed to have access to all of our fractalized consciousnesses. And so as part of becoming aware, to awaken and healing as a collective and healing as individual fractals, they told us that all of these broken fractal consciousnesses are coming back to us. and coming back to the origin self so that we can become whole again. So yeah, we've been getting messages as well, a lot about that. And Steph, do you remember one of the very, very first things that you said? Like, this was like when we first met.
I'll
I think
try.
at the time we knew what it meant, but like we didn't know what it meant.
Uh-huh.
And you had said that the way out is in.
Yeah.
And so lately it was like they gave it to us then, right? And then they were like, oh, they still don't fucking get it. So like we'll
They have
like
yet
give
to
it to
apply.
them like 3 years ago, and then we're gonna give it to you again here. So then the messages lately have been we have to go inside, and they give us all these like checklists that we have to do, but it's all
Yep.
because everything stems from the consciousness. And they basically said we have to free our body, our mind, or spirit in order to free the consciousness. Once you free the consciousness, then we unnail ourselves from the crucifix. And then we can go this way, we can go this way.
Yeah, but not,
So yeah,
not fixed. If been crucifixed. I don't
right.
know how the word breaks down, but the word fixed is there,
Fixed,
right? So
right. We're
it's
not
true
supposed to
that
be fixed.
we got stunted in a certain point
Yeah.
of time.
Right.
And I just want to tie that back to astrology for a second, because speaking of being stuck in a certain point of time,
Yeah.
one of the astrological revelations I've been having as I am shifting from the Western tropical perspective of astrology that everybody uses and is familiar with to this sidereal astrology where it's more astronomically aligned. Every year on the equinox, right? The spring equinox, even if you're not familiar with the exact dates, but you know when spring starts, it's Aries season, right? There's 12 months of the year, so everybody associates spring, and then it divides so-and-so. Pisces is the last of the winter, and so it resets, and so it resets, and so it resets. But you know, the sky isn't doing that. So we've been
Push it down
stuck
here.
in a loop, not tuning in to the literal, what I interpret as the cosmic gods. I believe that they've had us, and because astrology was a part of the mystery schools, it's occulted information, but I think what they gave us was a fixated version that is outdated. It's been outdated for over 2,000
Yes.
years, you guys. This
They
isn't like just
tweaked it.
yesterday. This is 2,000 years. We've been outdated and misaligned.
Yep.
Now when we say that, you know, it's the spring equinox, it's Aries season, we're almost out of Pisces because it goes backwards. It's precession, so it goes in a backwards motion. So instead of going Aries to Taurus, which is forward, it shifts backwards, Aries to Pisces. So in a few, I don't know, 100 years maybe, because it moves very slow, in a few 100 years, we will be entering the actual age of Aquarius. Energies blend, nothing's clear cut. So while we're in this tail end of Pisces, we're still integrating the new age of Aquarius. So when they talk about that, it's never a clear cut day. We went from beginning of Aries, 0 Aries, all the way down to almost the bottom of Pisces already. That's 2,000 years of misinformation.
Wow.
The maps also use astrology. You know, when they talk about
They definitely don't.
the equator.
We don't know how big we are.
Yes.
All the maps are lies.
Yes, but
complete
I want
lies.
to talk specifically about the
Yes.
astrology point, because you're right. I don't believe
Yes.
half that
That
stuff.
too, yeah. Mhm.
So on the maps, there's a line for the equator, right? The equator is this 0 degree line. I think it's, what is it, latitude when it goes horizontally? And then there's 30 degrees, 30 degrees. So it's this beam, and that's where the planets travel through. It's the zodiac belt, or the ecliptic. It rides the equator. And so they say that these two lines, the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. So in the summertime, we say it's summertime in the Northern Hemisphere because the sun's in Cancer. Right? I'm born in the summertime. I was assuming I was a Cancer on my birthday, but it's misaligned. But that's just an example. If you were born in the Southern Hemisphere, the sun would have been in Capricorn for your summertime.
Yep.
Which for us is winter. It's furthest away, right? Even those lines are incorrect. The sun during this is I got to look at the map to remember exactly which sign it's in, but I want to say it's in Taurus or starting in Taurus in one of them. And then, oh, it might be Gemini and Sag actually by now. And so the maps are even wrong. So if you think about how important the maps are, we have all these ley lines and all this energy that was supposedly imprinted here. They built the pyramids to follow the sky. If the sky has shifted that much, they're not aligned anymore.
Nope,
And that
that's why
means
they
that
don't
there's
work.
new energetic points here on Earth to be discovered, new alignments. If we look up and realize when we're saying, oh, the sun's in this, that it's not. For example, the Lion's Gate, it's not in Leo season. People think it's mid Leo season. It's Cancer season. We're just going to be ending it on the 11th. That's when we enter the Lion. But we said that we entered the Lion July 21st or something like that. It's far off. So as above, so below, the sky is misaligned. Our understanding of it is misaligned. We've been misaligned and messed with, screwed with, and confused. So I mentioned this fairly often, Rosie, you heard me say this. It's like, when are we and where are we?
I was just gonna say that.
These
Where
sound-
the heck are we?
Where are we
Where
and
are we?
when are we? Because we have been
Yes.
so distracted, you were just saying, distracted by the outer world.
Yes.
And yes, the answer is within, because they're lying. Everything, everything, like we were just saying, your
Yes.
downloads, everything is a lie from what we've been told, with the alignments to everything. We are no longer honoring the correct energy. We have no idea where we are. There's a lot that has been hidden from us.
Yes.
Real lot.
Yeah, anyone getting codes on that besides what we already went through? I'm just curious if there's anything else.
Yeah, and you almost have to ask, like, why have they kept everything such a secret? Like, they literally tweaked everything so that even if we came upon a little bit of the information of where we are, it's completely not even available at all. So we can't even figure out or get a clue as to where we are, where or
No.
when or how.
I think the only one that has
are.
the answers is tuning into nature. She's the only one who has been keeping record, because it's all been happening on her. So the sky is keeping record, Earth is keeping record. Our bodies, like when you start to just have the inner knowing, it comes from within, from divine source, but it's coming from within. It's not coming from a book. It's not coming from someone else's word of mouth. That's why, everyone has their own version of truth. Everyone gets downloads at different times, yet we all eventually come to similar conclusions, right? There's an ultimate truth, many different perceptions of it. Just like they say, there's one source, but then everybody's created different gods to represent it. We can break and fractalize everything, but the truth is it's a one interpreted by many. So going inside and one of the downloads we're all getting is go outside, be in nature. And I think it's because that's literally the only one that has the answers, not just about
leave the nest.
Yeah.
We keep getting leave the nest, leave
Yeah.
the comfort zone.
Yeah.
Leave, go and take road trips, even though everything's going to be shut down soon, but get out,
Do it
get out of your
before.
comfort zone. Yeah, do before everything gets shut down.
Caravanning.
Everyone get in, let's make it quick.
Everybody get your little gypsy wagon and we're just in a caravan. Come on.
COVID can't stop us.
Just
Right.
need some mullein leaves, no toilet. Who cares?
We're just gonna go tour across country, spread it, spitzing our light everywhere into all the black goo spots.
That's right. We keep picking up the light workers as we go.
Get in.
One of the things that they gave us, which was kind of mind-boggling. So they had said that, so wherever we are, whatever we want to call it. So there's the sign that we're in, which is the enslaved pen, right? And so the reason why everything is a lie is because wherever we are is actually the part of wherever we are, the terrarium. Let's call it the terrarium. We want to call it the
It
terrarium.
is a
That we're
terrarium.
stuck
Earth
in the
is a
terrarium, right?
Yes.
So there's two parts. So there's like the slave owner part, right? That part is the paradise part. It's still lush, it's beautiful. And there's a part that they keep us in where they've drained all the resources and it's basically dead land, but they make us think that it's still alive. So they had given us that before.
it's very diluted compared to what it was, right? So
Right.
what we're
Right.
thinking of, I believe it was what the hell is the guy's name? Admiral Byrd, who he was an
Yeah.
explorer who actually, I think he did an Arctic trip, and he said he found land, I think as big as the United States
believe it.
outside that no one has discovered yet.
Yes.
And so they definitely are hiding land. I mean,
Yes,
anyone
they are.
seen the Truman Show? Angel, I know you did. Mom, have you seen, everybody seen the Truman Show, right? So one of the things that sticks out in my mind from that is when, you know, Truman's in a dome, right? Everything's fake, including the moon, which we do have to think about. That's another story. But they have to keep him there, right? They have to crush that explorative spirit that he has as a natural born human being man, right? I want to explore, I want to see, I want to conquer. So what does he say?
Yeah.
Stands up in school, I want to be a great explorer like Magellan in this one. And the teacher quickly pulls down the map, being in on this, so this is a fake world, he's in a show and he can't know, pulls the map down and says, oh, well, you're too late. Everything's already been explored. Pops it back up. End of the thing. And so it's a quick scene. People might not think much of it, but I think it's more than that. It is a part of the programming that we've been experiencing for so long that is telling us that everything's been seen, everything's been done, nothing's new, there's no magic, you can't find anything else, you got to stay in the same rut, do what your parents did and your parents before you, save the money, have the home, that's it, right? They took out the fighting spirit. You just have to fill your slot, as Pink Floyd would say, another brick in the wall. We have to keep building. You're going to sit in your spot, and this is what we're creating. And having these type of conversations is that I want people to realize is that we can break this cycle now, because I do believe we are at this choice point. We're at this possibly 100-year cycle in a 400-year greater cycle of a reset. And during that reset is that where stories of the not the apocalypse, what's the biblical one? Revelations, right? The idea of Revelations where some souls are separated and others stay to suffer it out for a while.
Yes.
And they experience the destruction. Think of Tartaria. There's evidence of a whole world buried not that long ago. They had electric cars already in the past. We're just discovering this stuff, right? So we've been lied to. How many times have we been reset? And at that time, were there bifurcations? Maybe not as grand as this one, because from all the other channels and prophecies, there's never been anything quite like this. But the survivors, right? They had to have been of a higher being to survive this, right? So that's the whole point of us becoming super beings, being the best versions of ourselves, because I think it says in the Bible, and I'm not even religious, but so many of those things align with the perception of what's going on today. But I think it's and I'm going to probably butcher it, but the path to heaven, or the pathway to heaven, is like a narrow gate, and the pathway to hell is wide. And so it's easier to go in that direction. And you do have to fit a certain standard. You do have to be a certain caliber of a person. You do have to show your will and honor yourself and stand for something. And it's the Christ consciousness code, right? That supposedly Jesus came to show us who we're supposed to be, not who we're supposed to worship. He was supposed to be a walking image, right? That represents the Christos, the Christ energy. So that's the narrow gate. And that's why most people will not make it. So spreading the light, spreading the energy, telling people that, like, hey, disregard the chaos, don't fall for it, don't eat the poison, don't do this to yourself, return to the organic codes, return to the garden, return to nature. Because the bifurcation is really the system, the inorganic codes that they're trying to literally force onto us, versus the organic human divine nature codes that we came in with. And so it's the great remembering. Do we remember the codes? Are we ready for this time, or do we allow ourselves to get distracted, manipulated, and poisoned? That's the choice point.
I wanted to mention something about the word apocalypse, because I feel like a lot of people shy away from the word because it has like a negative connotation now.
Yeah.
But like the Greek translation to apocalypse is to uncover.
Yeah.
which is pretty much what we're here
Yeah, to
doing.
lift the veil.
now.
Mhm.
Yeah. To
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to
to uncover and to
pull.
remember.
To
Yeah.
pull and eclipse. So pull off the illusion.
Yeah, because we know it, right? All the codes tell us this ain't really what you think it is. This isn't the life you were supposed to live. So everything that we've
Mhm.
created, from the
True.
houses we live in to everything, has been because we gave up our authority. Things have just happened to us. Like the simple shape of the houses that we live in. I think I've discussed this a little bit before. I don't remember with who, but square, even in astrology, a square is the harshest degree. It's a 90-degree, right? You're going to hit the wall straight on and then go. And then so energy doesn't travel well in a box.
Nope.
That's why circles have the best flow.
Oh.
360, figure eight, double, infinite loop, right? So
Mhm.
we are all, look at every building. Look at every single building, every office building, every city structure, the homes we live in, square, 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 square.
Jail
And wonder,
cell.
and
They're
yes,
all
a jail cell.
cells.
Yeah, right.
I love my jail cell though. I love it. I love
It is a comfy one, I must say.
Right.
I love
do
my
love
jail
my
cell.
cell.
Right now, basically,
Mhm.
we even lost our understanding of geometry, basic stuff. And what do we get taught in school? This is the circle, this is the square, and then they don't go any further. Can you imagine if we taught kids, instead of just geometry, sacred geometry, the reason, the building blocks of life? We'd be creating Teslas everywhere, and that's why we don't. That's why they don't. So a part of little divide paper that I have here was one, we have a choice to make, right? We know that Al, you made your choice, right? So you look at, what is school teaching your kids? Well, first of all, they're muzzling them to prove, they already had your silence, hitting the rulers, not in my day, but hitting kids, and then punishing you for raise your hand. Angel's doing it, but she's being polite. It was different things, right? You weren't allowed to think for your own. You were told how to answer, not how to think. What is correct versus what isn't. So we were programmed, and
Yeah.
now they're going into a further agenda to divide the population and base it on hate. And that's a whole nother agenda of Marxism, which we'll probably get into on a different chat. But they're doing that. So then the option is homeschooling, which is actually the longest running version of school. People think that homeschooling is a failed experiment. No, the school systems is the experiment that failed. Look how quickly we've degenerated. No one hands down life skills. People are too busy to do anything. But when people were homeschooled, kids didn't need necessarily every single piece of information that's forced down their throat to get by in life.
Yeah, but if you look some of those people out there, you don't really want them homeschooling kids either.
Because they're failed from public school stuff, right? So we have a lot of broken people. So yeah, we can't trust the world to just know what to do yet. But as everything's shifting, I believe people will rise up to the challenge, right? There's a lot of unemployed people. And as things get pushed to the extreme, I do believe that small sections of people will break away, because again, it's choice points. Some people will go further into the system, chip their kids if need be, like I'm going to track. We don't know how far it's going. We know that China has a social credit score. We know that they're, looking at that type of stuff. We've seen their
Well, we
movies.
have Sweden and Denmark are already chipping.
Yeah.
So, and
Yep.
they've been chipping. It's coming to Germany.
Yeah.
Except they're fighting it because they don't have the technology in Germany that much. So that's kind of where they're at, because
Bigger population in Germany too. It's harder.
yeah, for them to do anything, it's difficult. But she said, one of my friends is saying that they're getting the 5G though. She says, so, good or bad, they're fighting it because they don't want this in it now.
Yeah. So there's going to be some form of breakaway societies, and that's the whole name of this chat, is the village. I believe villages are going to naturally start to pop up in local areas as resistances, and you'll have these group of women who have kids who have to start teaching, and some men, I'm sure too, they'll start having to teach kids. And I don't believe it's going to fall all on one person. I think the whole idea of village, and when you have to depend on your small group, because the system you can't depend on anymore. Once you make that decision, that's not your option. They're telling you have to do something you stand against to have it. And either you say, okay, I'll do it, and that's your choice, or you make your stand and say, I will choose an alternative path, because it exists. They try to make you think it doesn't. They try to scare you into the fact this is the only way, threaten you with violence. But this planet is a planet of free will. We always have a choice. And the codes are here. it's not hard for people to snap back into natural coding. Is everyone designed for it? No, those people who we probably don't trust homeschooling are probably not going to homeschool.
Right.
But hopefully we can save, or not just us, but the ideology that's here can save enough people who are worthy, right? It's the narrow path, who are worthy to raise the next generations and build the rebirth society after the failed one. Because we
Yeah.
know the cities, they have death sentences.
Yeah. But yeah, we
Yeah.
have that community coming now. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of hubs coming up.
Yeah, they're
Um,
forcing it.
Well, it's a good thing. The one good thing that they're doing is they're starting to separate the masses, where the people who are the awakened, not the woke culture, the awakened people, they're starting to realize the deducate. I love saying that word, deducation. So we're undeducating our kids. But it's great because now we do have these communities that are returning to
Mhm.
the hub of, well, I know how to garden, I know how to fix cars, I know how to build houses, I know how to resource, I know how to recycle. So we're actually getting these
Yeah,
communities.
we're pooling our knowledge. Mhm.
Yeah, and it's real. I mean, like, well, I felt great teaching my kid how to hot wire a car when he couldn't get the key out of it.
It's a useful skill.
I have skill. Changing tires, bearings, putting shocks in.
Yeah, I mean, this is useful stuff. They don't teach you none of that. They don't.
teach. Nope. He was dead on the road. I got him out of there. So, but that's we're seeing these pop-ups. There's there's Earth Ship. There's Earth Haven Earth. There's oh my God, they're teaching all kinds of cob building stuff. Cob
Yes,
building.
that's gonna be the way of the future too. I'm telling you.
Oh no, I
'Cause you
like
can-
the hemp.
The hemp is good too, but what I like about, and again, I think you could do this with most structures, but what I like about the cob is it's basically the adobe houses that you see, and
Mhm.
they've already been proven to have weathered time, right? It's such an
Mhm.
ancient thing. It's really designed to be a part of nature. Like if you ever look at like natural disaster damage,
Yeah.
like a tornado blowing through a neighborhood or something, and then you just, I mean, it's people's houses, it's sad, I'm not removing that part of it, but if you just observe and look at the destruction,
Yeah.
because all these things
Mhm.
don't belong to nature, so when it's just spread out, you realize, oh my God, what a mess. Whereas when our houses were made of more natural things, if nature did bother it, it just returned to itself, and you start again with whatever to fix, right? So we didn't create such a
Waste.
yeah. Yeah, like it's literally what it is. So going back to that, and it's cheaper, it lasts longer, and I believe cob is also fireproof.
Well, there's literally cities on top of cities on
Yeah.
top of cities. And when they show you the archaeology and they go down, they're still intact.
Yeah.
They built right on top of them. That's how strong they were.
Well, that was the Tartarian mud floods, because when it comes in, it actually
Those are all the
fossilizes.
resets. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why I said when Earth holds it, right? Earth remembers, she's in record keeping, whether we remember or not.
Mhm.
You dig down, you see that stuff, you're like, well, how did that happen so fast?
I was going to say, I'm going to say something radical, but I agree with you. I think our current school system, it just teaches humans how to be slaves. And I think our
Yes.
biggest challenge is actually going to convince people that they are in fact slaves.
Yes.
Because it's, if you think about it, it's the biggest con and the biggest consciousness fuck ever, which is enslaving an entire collective and they don't even realize that they're enslaved. And that is going to be I think where we come up with resistance, and
Yeah.
when we try to help people, because a lot of people are not going to want to
It hurts to
accept
acknowledge.
this. Right.
Mhm.
Right.
We've been told, let me
Right.
just put it out there, that they
Right.
blatantly tell us that we're slaves. We are Rick's little battery.
Agreed. Agreed. We are the battery powering Rick's car, and it's not fair.
Have you guys ever
Seriously.
seen the cartoon where it's like two chickens and then one chicken's like, I swear they're eating us, and then
Oh,
the
yeah.
other chicken's like, no.
You conspiracy theorist.
Right,
Mhm.
right, you conspiracy theorist. That's us.
Yeah.
That's basically all of us.
Well,
Yes,
yeah,
they are
I mean,
evil.
you see the way
They
cities
really
are
are
designed,
humans.
right? Like you
Yes.
see the cities, they look like circuit boards, and
Mhm.
we run around them and do our busybody stuff. And a lot of
Yep.
these cities are on ley lines, and they are harvesting the energy that we create, moving about, buzzing around. Like, you ever hear the hum of a city? That's a
No.
frequency, right? So what did Nikola Tesla say? If you want to understand the universe, you have to think of terms of vibration, frequency, and what was the other one? No one remembers.
Vibrations and frequencies, all I remember.
Someone look it up real quick. This is sad.
Pathways.
Energy, vibration, and frequency.
Okay, I'll take it.
All right, we'll get
Alex
back
will
to
take
it.
it for 500.
But so you think of that, and you think of what our movement does, the sound, everything. So it's a literal hum. It's we are generating energy, and we're giving it all to them on their spots in their
Yes.
circuit boards. And then man builds computer, and it looks exactly the same. The
Yes.
stars that everything was aligned with.
Done
You look at
over the
ancient
brain.
Egypt, it looks exactly like a circuit board. Exactly
Yes.
like it.
Yeah.
So the energy, the free
someone-
energy is connected to up there. It's just harnessing
Energy's
that.
supposed to be free.
Uh-huh. It
Energy
just
is
exists.
definitely supposed to be free.
That's why they killed him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
How
he
else
was
do you
telling
enslave
everybody.
if everything is generated on its own? That's also why they're struggling so hard to kill Earth. I
Uh-huh.
mean, they want her barren so that we can't grow, but they forgot
Yeah.
she
they do.
heals and we can heal her.
Yeah.
Very true.